Hello, welcome to another episode of the Just Some Magic podcast. I am your host, Morgan, and here on Just Some Magic, we like to share people's most magical moments. And today we have Armida. Hi, Armida. How are you today?
Hi, I am well. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, and you guys should know her from the Dream a Fantastic Dream podcast, which is a reference to Fantasmic, and you are one of the main hosts.
I am,
So
yes.
you understand the podcasting life and the struggles
I
and
do.
the
I do.
getting to meet a bunch of incredible people. So
Yeah.
yes, I think we said on either I think when I was on y'all's show, I think like the opportunities that we get as a podcaster to connect with other Disney fans, whether we've had no prior introduction to them either, it's like you already kind of feel like you know them because you listen to their podcast and then you're like,
Right.
ah, but it's so great. And we were just chatting before. What do you do for work?
I'm actually a bridal stylist. I'm a professional bridal stylist. If you have no concept of what that is, if you've ever seen Say Yes to the Dress or like do a quick little YouTube search of Say Yes to the
Uh-huh.
Dress, I'm essentially Randy. That's
Oh.
my job. That's what I do. Um, and so that's kind of like but real life, not TV.
Yes, yes.
So that's kind of that's my job. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so not only are you helping them, like, pick the dresses, but, like, accessorizing and is there
Yes.
is there more to it? I have not had a formal wedding, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Bridal bridal pretty much covers everything from your first shopping experience, trying on dresses for the very first time, to saying yes and purchasing your dress, and then the tailoring and alterations process, and
Uh,
then even the pressing and steaming of your dress, and then the final preservation after your wedding as well.
oh, I love that it's literally from start to finish, like, you are helping and, being part of their journey and stuff like that. Have you
Yes,
ever
we're there the whole journey.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Mhm.
And have you ever gotten, a Disney bride or a bride that just loves Disney and you're just like, "Oh, I know exactly," like
I've had so when I was living in Philadelphia and I was working in Philadelphia doing bridal there, not as much.
Mhm.
My coworkers loved Disney; they're big Disney World fans, so I
Uh-huh.
loved working in that environment. But I didn't really have a lot of Disney fans.
Mhm.
But I did have one Disney bride who was getting married in Florida. She was interesting, and since I don't work for that company anymore, I can say, like, I can now say that she was a little bit on she was an interesting client to have,
Okay.
because I told her, I was like, "Oh, I'm a big Disney fan too," and she goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I used to work at Disneyland." She goes, "Oh, well, I hate Disneyland."
Oh, goodness
And
gracious.
I was like, "Oh, what a great way to start the conversation."
Right.
Um,
She definitely could have,
you
like,
know, lo-
kept it positive. I feel like us Disney fans
right.
were like, "Oh, I prefer Disneyland over Disney World," or vice
Mhm.
versa, not, "I hate this park," like
Oh, my favorite's Epcot. Okay, that's a great way to keep the conversation
yeah,
going, like, that I just felt that was so odd,
keep it light,
and
airy,
yeah, she was one of those, that cast members and Disney fans now, are starting to, since the pandemic, are viewing as more of the entitled guests, I wanna say, because she was bragging about her DVC, she was
Mhm.
bragging about how much money she spends there, so,
Mm.
like, looking back on it, I'm like, "Yeah, that kinda checks out," but she ended up using my store as as a way to try on dresses for fun for the first part, so she completely used me, and
Oh,
then she went over to Kleinfeld, which is the Say Yes to the Dress store
yes.
in New York, because they have a very specific Disney wedding experience, so she
Oh.
basically used me to try on dresses for the first time and then went to Kleinfeld knowing what she wanted.
Oh my goodness.
So, that was fun!
Yeah. Oh,
But since then
is there any positive Disney
yes,
experiences? Okay. Like, we like
then
to
I've
be
had much
positive on the
better.
show.
Right, like, that was the first one that I had, and I'm like, I'm grateful that that was my only instance, but,
Mhm.
like, you kinda have to at least on my show, like, we like to balance out the positive and the negative a little bit and,
Okay.
like, "Hey, this stuff happens," but, like,
Yes.
also this stuff happens too. And so I had, 2 I've had 2 brides. One of them is a teacher who I just adored. She
Was she your
was
teacher or just a teacher? Then you
a teacher, she was
Okay.
a teacher. She was a school teacher, and, like, I found that she had a magic key lanyard, and when she came into my dressing room, I was like, "Oh my god, you're a fan!" And she goes, "Yeah." She's like, "I'm a long-suffering," like, back then it was Dream Key. "I'm a long-suffering Dream Key holder because I have to have weekends." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get it." And so she was really sweet. And then she got torn between two dresses, and then she left and she went shopping in downtown LA and had such a terrible experience that she immediately called me and she's like, "Can I come back?" I was like, "Yes, you can."
Oh.
She came right back and she looked spectacular. Her dress was gorgeous. Her wedding's already passed, so I can say this. She wore a strapless, fitted all the way down dress,
Ooh.
and it had this massive train, just this gorgeously
Oh.
massive train covered in lace and sequins, a gentle glimmer to her dress. She looked gorgeous. And then she added a little off shoulder off the side there.
Ooh,
And
some
my
Sleeping
favorite,
Beauty kind of off the
yes,
shoulder. Ooh,
yes.
we love, we love.
She was very pretty. And then my one of my favorite stories was during a crazy sample sale week. And I had this sweet, sweet girl come in and she said she's in my store. What I love about my store is that I'm able to provide experiences for plus size brides
Oh.
in ways that other stores can't offer.
Mhm.
Because in the wedding industry, like a very brief overview of how it works is that they can't necessarily try on. So the thing about normal dress shopping is that you pretty much wear one size and everybody has to try that one size on,
Yeah, and that's
and
why they
then
have
they'll
the big
order it in
claw
their size
clips on the back, right?
with the clips, right? But if you're plus size, you don't necessarily fit into them,
Mhm.
because the average sample size is about a size 12, which
Mm.
translates to about a 10 or an 8 in regular clothes,
Gotcha,
which
gotcha.
is not really that big. And for my other store, they were like, "Oh yeah, we have a 16 for plus size brides, which is just a 12 in regular clothes.
Mm.
It's not that much of a difference." So
Whew.
if you're anywhere from a 20 to a 22 in your regular clothes, you have nothing to try on, and which is super
Aw.
unfair. I had to turn away so many clients at my old store because I just had nothing that they could try on.
Yeah.
And I couldn't give them a vision to work with, and it wasn't fair to them either to try and like hold the dress up and say yes to that. So
Right.
um, I had to do my best, but it wasn't great. Um, and then when I came to this store, my store's entirely off the rack, and I carry sizes 0 through 30. So I could put dresses on anyone, which is
Oh.
so much better. And my bride came in and she was crying because she had an experience somewhere else where she couldn't try on, and she knew going in it was going to be hard.
Mhm.
Um,
But there was
and she was
nothing
like,
they could
"Yeah,
do. Oh.
she's like, I'm getting married in my backyard, and this is my vision. I think it may have passed, but I'm not sure, so I won't go into that much detail. She's like, yeah, I'm getting married in my backyard. We're having like we're each centerpiece is going to be a Disney song theme. Yeah,
Oh, I love it.
super sweet. She was just this most gorgeous little, and she has celiac disease like my boyfriend.
Oh.
And so she and I just connected instantly, and she was just the nicest, most sweetest thing ever, and she was just so happy to be there and try on dresses that actually fit her, and she did say yes to the dress at my store on her first appointment.
Ah, the
It
first
was so
appointment too. That
magical.
must have felt
Yes.
great for you, just like, "Yes,
It is.
executed my
It's so
job."
magical. It is so magical when they and she told me her favorite song was "I See the Light" from Tangled. So when she walked out in her dress that she ended up choosing, I played that song for her so she could
Oh,
walk down the store aisle and like get an idea of her vision. And I put like a little veil on her and everything, and she was crying and I was crying.
it's like, "You're a
And
real
then she ended up
princess."
right. And then she ended up recommending her best friend to me. And then she also said yes on her first appointment too.
Look at you being a little fairy
Yeah.
godmother. I
It's
love.
so much.
But, yes, so how close are you for those Disneyland lovers that are like, "Oh, well, if she's such a good fairy godmother, I wanna go over there." Are you
Absolutely.
oh, where are you?
So I live about 30 minutes away from Disneyland, on the south side, but you can find my store 30 minutes from the north side of Disneyland.
Done.
So my location is in Whittier, California. It's called Garden and Grace Bridal Boutique. I highly recommend checking it out.
Ooh.
All four of
Ask
my
for
staff there
Armida,
are
the fairy godmother.
yes. Well, all four of our staff members are all Disney fans.
Oh, so this
So
is the
they
prime
are
location to
all
go.
yes, they are all equipped to help you out. One of our staff members is a former merchandising cast member,
Oh.
and then one of our stylists is also a really big Star Wars fan as well. And we all
Oh.
specialize in like we love the Disney weddings. We love like Disney fans, and it's so if you're getting married and you're looking for a dress and you're in the Southern California area, come on by to Garnet and Grace Bridal Boutique in Whittier, California, on Whittier and Scott. We would love to have you. Any one of us is capable of taking you. We carry sizes 0 through 30 there for you. So
Yes.
make sure you bring your family members and your venue and all
Oh.
that stuff so we can make magic happen for you.
Oh my goodness. I I love that. I love that you get to literally your job is being a fairy godmother essentially, like,
For
yes,
sure.
it's for
For
brides,
sure.
yes, it's a very, like, niche thing, but do you see I know this isn't well, sorry, I'm so fascinated by all of this, but do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see, like, the TikToks and Instagram reels of if characters like, these types of characters wore the wedding dresses and stuff?
Yeah, actually, I would recommend go giving our TikTok a follow at Garnet and Grace Bridal, because we do that all the time. We
Fun.
actually I'll give you a little tease, we actually just filmed, a dress video for Super Mario characters
Oh, how fun for the new movie coming out and the
for
land
the
that just opened up.
came out. Yeah, the movie just came out, and so we just filmed one yesterday. It should be releasing sometime to today or tomorrow.
So by the time this
Um,
episode comes out, you'll
it
probably have
probably will
many
be out,
more.
so yes, and we're working on a Disney princess video. I have posted one to with wedding dress inspo to the lyrics of Megan Trainor's Mother.
Oh.
Um, one of our most popular videos right now is wedding dresses inspired by Mean Girls,
Oh, the characters,
and that
not
one gets
Mean Girls, but the characters from Mean
yeah,
Girls.
the characters
Oh.
from Mean Girls, yeah, and that video gets referenced literally all the time. We have a zodiac sign video. We
Ooh.
also have a Pixar video as well. If you scroll
Oh.
down to February 11th, we did what we had a wedding dress sale, and so we did sale gowns inspired by Pixar characters.
Oh my goodness, that must be
Mhm.
so fun.
Yeah, and we love to I love when my brides come in, they go, "Oh, I saw this on TikTok. Here's a picture of the
Yeah.
dress. I'm looking for something like this. This is my favorite character. What do you got for me?" It's so much easier for us to help you style when you're like, "This is my character that I'm going off of."
Gotcha. Cause like, me, everybody knows I love Sleeping Beauty, so I'm, like, already like, okay,
Right.
off the shoulders, like a tight, like,
Right.
corset with, like,
Mhm.
not a foofy skirt, but, like, something along those
Right.
lines,
Gentler skirt,
and
yeah.
I love that you guys I haven't seen the videos quite yet, but I know you'll send me the link soon, but,
Mhm.
I as a Disney fan, I love when a bridal store, because a lot of bridal boutiques are doing this, but they'll
Mhm.
put a lot of time and attention and thought into the dress that they choose for that character. Because I
Right.
don't like when
Right.
they put Sleeping Beauty in something not off the shoulder, like, that's her signature look, like, why are we doing
Mhm.
long flowy sleeves? Like, she does not like, so stuff like that,
That's not really
and
if you're going for more of a Briar Rose look, I guess,
that
but
then they should say, like, yeah, I'm
right.
as a
I struggle with seeing a lot of lace on Aurora dresses sometimes because it's a very simple design.
right,
So
right.
I like to see more sleek and more, classic looks on her too, but if you're
Yes,
gonna have lace, it has to be flowers
yes. Oh, for
because I
sure.
think that's very representative of who she is,
Mhm.
but that's just my opinion.
Yes. So I
Yeah.
love that you guys are actually like a true like theme park or not just theme park. I love that you guys are true fans of all of the different stuff, like whether it be Disney, Marvel, Star Wars,
Right.
Pixar. So I know that you guys are probably putting a lot of thought into it, not just picking a
We're
random
very
dress.
excited. We are very excited about it. We're very particular about how we do it too. We'll spend like maybe 15 minutes before the video starts and we're like, "All right, let's get really specific here." When we do that, I'm really excited to start the Disney Princess one because I we're all fans. We're specifically waiting for the my three all the three staff members who me and my two coworkers to be together on a Tuesday and just get it out because
Yes.
we've been waiting. We're like, "Oh, I don't want to do it without her." And then like, "Oh, I don't wanna do it without her," so we're kinda waiting for the 3 of us to get together so we can do it,
Yes,
and I'm
just
really excited about it.
make all the content. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Well, if I'm ever back in town and you need a tall model, I got you. I got
for
you.
sure, for sure. Tall is a thing because all wedding dresses are long,
Mhm.
before they get hemmed, so tall is good.
Ooh.
We like tall.
Ooh.
Tall is very good.
5'10" over here.
Yes,
Single as a
yes,
Pringle,
yes.
but
Tall is good. Tall well, if it's for work, it's not bad luck.
Oh, okay, okay. It
Mhm.
is for work. I
Yep.
love it. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Well, now I really wanna come
right.
visit the store. Oh
Yeah,
my
you
gosh.
should, you absolutely should. We always take models all the time.
I got you, I got you. But, yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
all everything she just referenced, the store, the Instagram, the TikTok, we'll link all of those so you guys can go get wedding inspired, whether you're getting
Yes.
like, gonna get married soon or just your dream wedding. Armida's got you as your fairy godmother.
Yes. Give us a follow. I work very hard on those videos.
Nice. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, I've asked you a bunch of questions before on your first episode, but we'll get
Mhm.
into some other questions. But before we do you want to give everybody a little tiny teaser of what the story you're going to share with us today?
Yeah, so here's a little tease. I used to work in entertainment costuming for the Disneyland Resort back in 2019 as part of my Disney College program. And there are a lot of magical moments that came from that program that I still hold very near and dear to my heart. But I have saved this particular memory because it was, and my friends will tell you, this was the best night ever that we had in our program, and it led to the worst morning ever, which led to this magical moment
Oh,
that I had at specifically while I was working at the parks. It is not the, Disney secret thing that you think it is,
mhm.
um, but it does kind of show the principles of magic making
Mm.
that go beyond just what happens on stage. So I'm really excited to share that story.
I can't wait, I can't wait, and honest actually, I'll save this question for later, but remind me to ask
Okay.
you, um, as I know a lot of people say, like, "Oh, working for the company, the magic's ruined," or "I don't wanna work for them because it'll ruin the
Right.
magic." I feel like it's the
Right.
complete opposite, but will remind me to talk
There's a
about that.
reason why. There is a reason why that it's not
Yes.
ruined.
Yes. Awesome,
Mhm.
awesome. But okay, to ask you a couple of questions, but my first question is, what does your usual day at the park look like? You know, you're an annual pass holder, you're going to
Ooh.
Disneyland. First off, which park are you going to first?
I like to start at Disneyland. That's
Ah,
my favorite to start at because I really enjoy, I wanna go get, a Ronto wrap, the breakfast one,
so good.
and I will, like, get the black calf as well in the morning. I'm not a big coffee drinker, it tends to make me very jittery,
Mhm.
but I do like a good Disney because at Disneyland, I kinda have to be jittery and, like, energetic, so
Yeah.
I will 110% take a black calf in the morning,
Mhm.
straight in Galaxy's Edge. I will rope drop that 10 out of 10. I also do enjoy, Carnation Cafe's breakfast with the Mickey waffles,
Mhm.
so if I get a chance to do that, then I will
Oh,
absolutely do
yes,
that.
so good. They make it so good there.
Yeah.
And is there a typical ride that you always have to do? I know you guys did mention to me, a ride that I think it was on your show though, what you guys typically
Mhm.
do, but what would you like to tell the audience?
I love well, it kinda depends on who I'm with,
Mm.
because if I'm by myself or if I'm with my friends or if I'm with my boyfriend, the answer is very, very different. Um, when I'm by myself, I love to go on Indy. Indiana Jones is one of my favorite rides that I'll ride it multiple
Yeah.
times too. If I'm with my friends, we like to do, like, Fantasyland rides and kinda goof around on those rides.
Yes.
And I'm with my boyfriend, we like to do Big Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain, It's a Small World he loves to do,
Oh,
um, Rise of the Resistance we always do together, so it kinda just depends on who I'm with and, like, what I'm doing,
gotcha.
but if I like being by myself sometimes and just, like, going on different rides and, like, getting a chance to kinda taste a little bit of everything.
Yes. I think you'd be this way as well, but I'm a big advocate for solo days and solo trips.
Yeah,
'Cause, it's just nice kind of going at your pace and what you wanna do, and,
mhm,
single rider's always wonderful. Even if you're with a party like, a group of people, it's always nice to make that
right,
an unbearable wait a little bit shorter by doing single rider if you've
yeah,
already done it before, but I
mhm.
think you're a big advocate of.
I used to not be. I used to be afraid to be by myself a
Mhm.
lot of the time, just because when I was a kid, when I was being bullied, I would eat lunch by myself all the time, and that was like a
Oh,
sign of shame to wear that you were by yourself.
yeah.
Um, and I am very talkative, and I do like to talk to people a lot.
Mm,
So it does kind of. I used to not be okay with it, but realizing now having a life partner, and when you have a life partner and you do a lot of things together, you have to compromise a lot of the time.
mhm,
And so now have being in this long-term relationship, I much more enjoy being alone now
mhm.
than I did when I was younger because now it's like, okay, what does Armida want to do? What
Yes.
does Armida want to do that's not going to make Skylar upset? Like, let's do that today. And he feels the same way too. Like, so my days off are Wednesdays and Fridays, and his are Wednesdays and Thursdays. So we'll go together and we'll do the compromising and we'll enjoy each other and we'll do what things that we both love to do together.
Mhm.
And then on Thursdays, he gets to go do what he wants. And then Fridays, I get to go do what I want.
I love
So
that.
it balances out really nicely.
Oh, that's absolutely perfect. I love it because
Yeah.
you need that time to recharge and be with yourself. And,
Right.
you guys probably live together and
Hmm.
spend a lot of time together. So it's nice to have that quality time, but then also apart because then you can appreciate that quality time
And
so much
it's
more.
just one day. It's just one
Yeah.
day, really. I mean, sometimes even half a day.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we hate being around each other and like, "Oh, sweet relief." It's not like that. It's so healthy in a long-term relationship,
Oh,
it's
for
so
sure.
healthy to, like, have one day just to yourself, like, just one day a week to yourself to do whatever you want, and then,
Absolutely.
like, the rest of the time you get to commit to your relationship and your work, and that's totally fine. It's working really well for my mental health right now. I've never been more confident in my life.
Oh, I love that for you, and probably
Yeah.
the your podcast, Dream a Fantastic Dream, plug again, is
Mhm.
probably, like, helping that as well, like
It did a lot in the beginning, in
mm,
the long distance period when it was like most of our time was spent separately because
mhm,
we lived in across the country.
yeah,
But the podcast was such a great way for our intellectual minds to come together, our creative minds to come
yes,
together and make something really fun together.
yeah, and
Um,
help your
now it kind of
confidence too,
right,
yeah.
right. It does help my confidence a little bit more and knowing that like people care what I have to say, which is cool.
Yes.
Because not a lot of people did back then, but now they do. And that's like, wow,
Mm.
that's different.
Yeah, it's like, look how far you've come, like, we
Yeah,
all have our childhood I don't wanna be dramatic and say traumas, but things that
right,
upset us or make us not feel 100%, and then, you go
right.
and you said you did the college program, and tell me if you feel
Mhm.
this way too, but and I know I talked with somebody else about this, but doing the college program, I know I grew so much as a person because you'll find your little niche of people that you can connect with and be on the same level of fandom. Like you don't feel like the weird one anymore, and you just
Right,
gain so much
exactly.
confidence doing
I was talking to my friend about this who's a former Imagineer, and I believe we also talked about this, he and I talked about it on my show, is that, like, when you meet Disney people, there is just this really specific, like, childhood connection that you have with somebody
Mhm.
that is, like, so niche that you can't help but, like, form bonds with those kinds of people because, like, we all pretty much come from, like, the same avenues of li almost the same avenues of life, and, like, from the same emotional avenue of
I
life
like
where,
that.
like, we have these, like again, like you said, I don't trauma might be one way to put it, but, like, that's the umbrella term for it,
Mhm.
and then we come to Disney and we, like, feel the sense of relief. We find joy in the same very specific things, and, like, you
Oh,
can't help but be friends with those kind of people.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And so I bring this up because you brought up your boyfriend and your life partner, and
Mhm.
I know you guys enjoy the parks together, but
Yeah.
would you call him your theme park soulmate? But the definition that I kind of made up the idea of a theme park soulmate,
Mhm.
and I want to like put it on t-shirts and all this stuff, but hashtag theme park
Right.
soulmate. But
Mhm.
that's a person that they have the same rhythm as you. They have the same interest as you when going to the
Yeah.
park. Like,
Mhm.
we like all the same things, the same rides, the same food,
Mhm.
and so going with them is almost a breeze because you guys are like in
Right.
sync. Would
Right.
you say Sky is your theme park soulmate, or do you have another dear friend that is your theme park?
I it's okay. It's close. It's really close because Skylar and I do like very, very different things.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
I am more a little bit well, to give him credit, he has grown so much in the last 2 years. So, so much. Like, he used to be like, "I only wanna do this, and I wanna do that, and I don't wanna eat anywhere else, and I don't wanna train." Like, he was very stubborn. But the more that I've opened up his palate a little bit more,
He's opened it.
the more that he's been like, "Yeah, I could do that." Or, "Yeah, I could." He's been much more open-minded, much more,
Good.
like, go with the flow kinda guy, so I'm not gonna say that he's not, like, my theme park soulmate because he is a very open-minded guy.
Right.
However, there is he does have an alter ego, who takes f he takes form in, he takes form in the person of my best friend Derek, and
Oh.
I ended up like I kinda have this joke in my head about Derek, but I kinda ended up dating the straight version of Derek almost. Uh, that's kinda how it worked out. Because like, Derek is, like, equally as, like, crude and flamboyant and just, like, out there and in your face and, like, loves to make people laugh and, like, depressed but happy at the same time, like, that's, like my other best friend Aiden and I, we call him the most enthusiastically depressed person that you'll ever meet. Um, like, Derek is just a ray of sunshine, but a ray of realness at the same time.
Mhm.
And, Derek and I spent one day, just the 2 of us at Disneyland together in 2019, and we both just went, "I can't believe how easy that was."
Ah.
Like
Oh.
we just kind of flowed together
Yep.
and everything just kind of went in sync and it was just so like unbelievably chill and relaxing.
Yes.
And like we could sit and like no matter what happens, wherever we end up going, we'll be happy. And
Yes.
that's what I love about going with Derek is that like we could our brains will just decide we're going to sit here and talk for an hour
Mhm.
or our brains are going to decide we're going to go on Peter Pan together. And you don't know which way it's going to go, but we'll just be in sync and kind of just flow together the whole time
I love that.
without even communicating it. And so that's what I love about Derek
So
and going with Derek.
so Skylar is your soulmate and Derek is your theme park soulmate.
Theme park soulmate.
There we go. There's
Precisely.
a place for all of them.
Precisely.
I love
Yes,
that.
precisely.
Oh my gosh.
They're just like alter egos of each other, which is the funny part. Is that like when they met, like they both just laughed at each other so easily that I was like, "Oh, I did this is what I did."
You're like, is it like
I'm
the
just
Spider-Mans where they're like pointing at each other like, "Whoa, whoa," but it's
kinda
just the
a
2 of
little
them?
bit. A little bit, like, they just ended up I just ended up dating the straight version of Derek, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Oh my goodness. Well, we've
Yeah,
we've chatted for quite a bit, and I do have more questions, but I wanna make sure we have plenty of time for your magical moments, so
for
thank you
sure.
so much, Armida, for answering all of those questions and telling us a lot about the
Yeah,
bridal industry and stuff. I'm like,
I'm glad,
"Ooh,
yeah.
I wanna come and try on pretty dresses," and
I sure hope you do, I
oh,
sure hope they
oh,
do.
girl, I'll be calling you next time I'm on the West Coast, but
Yeah.
now I'll let you take it away and share your most magical moment.
Absolutely.
So
So I was part of the Disney College program in
ooh,
2019. And I was working in entertainment costuming, and I think I touched on this last time. I think I did,
mhm,
but if you don't remember, here we go. Um, I was the person who, without ruining the magic, I was the person who dressed the characters up every day. They mistake this for me being the characters. That is not true. I was not a performer.
yes,
But I was the one who was taking care of the dresses and taking care of, buttons that were falling off of Mickey's vest.
mhm,
And I was the one who was making sure that, Mickey stayed nice and clean every day.
yes. Can I ask a quick question?
Yes,
Was this Disneyland or Disney World you did your college program?
Disney Disneyland
Okay,
back in the day.
gotcha, gotcha,
Yes.
and that's
They opened up
a much
they haven't
harder oh,
opened
you go ahead.
yeah, okay. They haven't opened Disneylands since the pandemic closure.
Right, right.
So right now it's only Disney World.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of like part of an extinct group where
Yes.
Disneyland's college
Yes,
program.
and I will say that
Yeah,
is the Disney college program as a whole is hard to get into. I just
right.
remember back 10 years ago when I applied, I remember overhearing that there was 30,000 kids that applied and only 2,000 get in.
Mhm.
Disneyland, it's a smaller park. There's a lot less opportunities out there. So
Mhm.
you got it in. Like, bravo, you got into the elite Disney college
Right.
program.
It was so wild because like when I did my phone interview and they heard about I wanted to do entertainment costuming. They asked me about my experience. Will I go to theater school?
Mhm,
Not to mention my school has a very good reputation because of my friends who have gone before me.
mhm.
I had two friends do it before me, one in Disneyland, one in Disney World.
Ah,
So they kind of knew, but my college already had a shining resume, so they kind of expected good things from me
mhm.
anyway. Um, but I didn't expect that the first puddle of acceptance, it's not just the wave, but the first puddle, I was like, oh, that's not going to be me. No, it was me.
Ah.
I was like one of like the first 10 people accepted, and I was like, that's weird.
Wow.
I didn't expect that at
And
all.
did you apply for Disney Worlds too, or just strictly Disneyland, hope for the best?
Just
Okay.
Disneyland, because I always wanted to live in California.
Oh. And where were you
I
living at the
figured out
time?
I was going to school in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay, okay. So that was
Yeah.
full move across country.
It's a long story, but my parents are originally from California.
Ah, so you're
Um,
just trying to get back
so
to your
that's
roots.
right, just trying to get back there. So I was trying to get home to my family. I wanted to be at Disneyland all the time. My friend who was Imagineer was working at Disneyland at the time,
Oh.
and pretty much inadvertently, probably didn't even mean to convince me to work at Disneyland, but he would like through his influence, I was like, I want to work at Disneyland. Um,
You're
so that was what I wanted to do, and Disney World was what they told me was much more chill, much more like we're coming here for a semester to have some fun and maybe do some work.
right.
Disneyland's reputation was you are here to build a career. And I
Ooh.
was like, "That's what I want, so I'm gonna go there."
Yes, yes.
Mhm,
And just even the comparison, because I did the Walt Disney World one,
mhm.
and not to be negative, but you were very much a number, and to
Right,
pursue a career at Disney World was a lot harder, especially starting from the bottom of the barrel of the college
right.
program. So I
Mhm,
know a few people that were able to work their way up, and a lot of us,
mhm,
either finished their degree in Florida or attempted to finish their degree in Florida, or
mhm.
went back home, finished your degree, and may or may not have worked for the company again. So the fact that
Mhm.
it's just so much more close knit at Disneyland, it was probably a much stronger opportunity to build a
It
career
is, there's a
there. So
lot more. Right, a
wonderful.
lot more. They were like, right towards the end, they were like, "Okay, now you can choose to stay or not." But, like,
Oh, not just
you
all
don't
right, thanks for your
extend.
time, go home.
Right. You don't extend, you just stay. Like, you
Oh,
just you go from CP to part-time,
I love that.
after that. So that was what I wanted to do,
Mhm.
but, COVID had another idea.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so but this story takes place in Disneyland in my college program, around Halloween time. It was the Monday before Halloween
Oh, pause,
2019.
pause, pause. Can I ask you one more
Yes.
question before you get deep into the
Mhm.
story? I love just
Yeah.
painting the picture so not only I, but everybody can
Right.
understand.
Right.
When applying, did you apply for any other roles that, like, okay, maybe I won't get my costuming role, but maybe I'll get something else? And did you try to audition? Because you have such an
Um,
adorable face.
yeah, you can't audition at Disneyland, actually. Performing
Oh,
is not an option there.
oh, during the college trip, because I know Disney
Yeah.
Worlds, you can.
You can, but
Oh,
you can't at Disneyland. Or
interesting.
at least that's how it was. They didn't let you do it over there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was entertainment costuming, and then I think the other one I wanted was attractions.
Ah,
Um, but I just wanted entertainment costuming. That wasn't really it was a no-brainer in my mind. I
yeah.
was like, if I don't get entertainment costuming, I kind of don't want to do it, but like
Exactly, you're
maybe I'll
like,
work
"It's
my way
either
around.
this or I'm out."
Right.
Okay.
And so and with my experience, they were like, "Yeah, we get it." Like they were like that kind of makes sense with your sewing experience and your costuming experience. Like they were like, "Yeah, we want you for costuming or we don't want you at all." Like that's kind of how it was.
So you get
But
approved for that first wave, you were like, "Oh
yes.
my gosh." How long were you out there for? Because I know there's different, programs that are different times and stuff.
Yeah,
2019, so
the
right before
program.
cast members, like,
Right.
got cut from the program.
The program lasted from August to January.
Oh, very nice. So you
Mhm.
were fall?
I was fall,
Okay.
fall
So
2019.
fall,
Yep.
not fall advantage, just fall. Okay, perfect,
Just
perfect.
fall, yeah.
And so you got I honestly, I did fall as well, I did fall advantage, and I gotta say, I
Mhm.
loved being there for holidays. It was
Yeah. Oh, it was so much fun.
so fun.
It was so fun, and I got to see Oogie Boogie Bash the inaugural year that they did it.
Yes, in
So,
2019.
I did the very first cast preview for the first ever Oogie Boogie.
Oh my
Was
gosh.
really, really cool, and, like, the vice president of DCA came to do a talk with us afterwards, and they were like, "This is our plan. We're trying to expand the Halloween party to DCA because guests kept leaving after the Disneyland party started, and we were
Oh,
losing money that way. So by
oh,
putting it in DCA, people just go to Disneyland
yes.
and they can spend money over there and then keep everything over here in California Adventure just for the party. And it worked out spectacularly well.
Yes, I was very fortunate enough to go, from a press perspective. I got to go
Yeah.
for a couple months prior, kinda getting the lay of the land of what they were gonna do, like, at the Redwood Creek Challenge.
Oh,
That was
Villains
phenomenal
Grove.
and gorgeous, 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 but
Beautiful.
w we might be jumping around your story a bit, but
Mhm.
did you actually get to help any of the, special characters during that first Oogie Boogie Bash?
Yeah. So I worked in the base of operations in DCA costuming
Okay.
for any character that is fur.
Ah.
So like Mickey Minnie, that also does include like Nick Wilde, Judy Hopps, Chip and Dale,
Mhm.
but that also includes Queen of Hearts. That includes Jafar. It includes Frollo and Radcliffe, and
Yes.
I never got to touch Ursula,
Ooh.
but because that was more of a parade specific thing.
Mhm. There's probably more
But
technical, mechanical
right.
things that are part of that
There
costume.
was this really cool moment though that I really
Uh-huh.
loved, which is not my magical moment, but I'll just tell the
Of
story.
course.
I was working in the DCA hub, the base of operations there, and the Mad Hatter, Johnny Depp's Mad Hatter costume,
Yes.
he comes running in, the Mad Hatter, and he just goes, "Hello, I'm about to go on pretty soon to greet my guests, and I'm afraid that one of my buttons has fallen off. Could you help me?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "Yes, sir." I took it real quick, and I
Yeah.
got to look at his vest. That thing is spectacular.
Yes.
It is a bunch of different patchworks, like different kinds of patterns together, but there are no buttons down the middle here.
Oh.
They put buttons all over the jacket.
Oh, how
Like,
fun.
there are just buttons everywhere all over it, like little,
Yes.
like, fastening buttons, but, like, all over all over the vest. And I was fascinated, and I was like, "I'll tighten up a few more of these while I'm at it so I can stare at this a little bit
You're just like,
longer."
"I just wanna
Um
admire it," like, as from your background and as a sewer, like,
Yeah.
oh
It
my
was so cool. And so I just, gave it back to him, and he's like, "Thank you very much," and then he left.
oh,
Like, it was such a sweet little
yeah.
thing where, like, I got to take a look at this costume, and it was awesome.
Also, I need to get the 3 of you back on to talk about Oogie Boogie Bash, so we'll probably
Yeah.
definitely get more into detail with that, but my last question about the Oogie Boogie Bash is, did you get to help
Mhm.
Oogie Boogie? Because he is
I did not.
oh,
I did not. He is part of a very special, venue called Special Events,
mhm,
um, to my knowledge. Now, I don't speak for the brand or the company, so my knowledge could be wrong. But I remember him being in the special events venue,
uh-huh.
and I had one venue in inventory, costuming inventory, where I had to basically count everything, which was next to special events.
Gotcha, gotcha. Because he's probably
So I
got his
didn't
own.
necessarily.
Because his
Right.
mouth moved, didn't it? If
Yes, that's called, that's called an articulated character.
yes,
I think that's the best way that I can put that.
yes.
That's called an articulated character.
They have that on,
So
like, the castle
when
show, I've seen it with
Mhm,
Mickey and meet and greets a couple years ago. Yes, yes,
mhm.
yes.
Yes. So those are articulated, and those are different venues than
Mm,
what I had as, the base of operations for general meet and greets.
gotcha, gotcha. So not your
So that's
department, but
kinda
next to.
next to it,
Adjacent.
yes.
You
So
were
there were
adjacent.
some I clocked out one day, and I was like, "Is that what I think it is?" And they were like, "Yes." I'm like, "Cool."
That is so
Yeah.
cool. So, basically, long of the short of it is your job was incredible.
It was an amazing job, yeah. It is not for the faint of heart, I will say. There were a couple of cast members that I traumatized by accident, just by things that I had to carry around backstage. Um, but,
Please
yeah,
elaborate.
I cannot
Oh,
elaborate.
okay.
Unfortunately, I cannot elaborate.
Respect it.
But I
Understand.
off air, I can elaborate, but
Okay.
on air, I cannot. Um, but yeah, there were a couple of that were like, "Oh, my childhood's ruined," and I'm like, "Fair enough." Um but something that I touched on in my teaser is, like, when you work in such a heavy backstage role, um, you are put to the challenge of, like, maintaining magic for yourself and how to do that. So how we maintain the magic for each other, we're trained in, so then, traditions training, and then you have second level training, which is, like, more in depth on
Yes.
how Disney does their customer service. And they gave us these little rings, and one of them was like, your guest. These are your guests. These are their expectations, and here's how you exceed them.
Oh.
And they essentially taught us, like, this is how you exceed expectations for guests so that you can create lasting memories that make them want to come back. Um, and one interesting thing is that he looked at the people in my tour group who were trained, my training group, who necessarily weren't front facing cast members.
Mhm.
And he said, "So, how does this apply to you?" Well,
Oh.
your guests aren't just the people who pay money for tickets to come in. Sometimes your guests are character performers. Sometimes your guests are other cast members that you see walking by you. Sometimes your guests are, um, like the people that you just walk by casually every day,
Mhm.
and how do you exceed those guests expectations? And so
Oh.
that's why a lot of people can have their magic retained for themselves, because, like, when Tiana walks off stage, she doesn't just go, "Oh, okay." Like, she is Tiana all the way through. So if I'm walking by her to go get my lunch, she'll walk by me, she'll go, "Hey, sugar, how you doing?" Like, she's still Tiana.
Okay, I did not know that. That makes my
Mhm.
little heart so incredibly happy because
Right.
I wanted to bring this up too is,
Mhm.
a lot of people don't want to work for Disney because they don't want to lose that magic like you're already telling us
Right.
now, and
Mhm.
and I want your perspective as well, but I honestly find it that much more like because you appreciate it that much more because you know
Mhm.
what goes into it, whether it be merchandise, whether it be characters, and like when you sometimes when you know the person that is friends with Chip and Dale hanging
Mhm.
out that day. it
Mhm.
just gets so much more elevated because they
Right.
they know you and they'll give you an even bigger hug or goof around or
Right.
play a little more because they know you, and so I think it
Mhm.
heightens everything, but what are your thoughts?
It It does, and I feel that way all the time, especially about people that I know, that are character performers,
Mhm,
that are friends with different characters. I definitely do feel that way sometimes. But, like, I just think that the idea of, like, knowing who your guest is, it per the moment, and then exceeding that is really important, and I think one of the reasons why people will say that you do lose the magic is because if you work in areas like attractions, food if you work in food, it's very easy to lose the magic.
mhm,
And one of the reasons why I believe that is because leads and managers should also know that your guests are your subordinates. And they don't, from what I hear, this is just from what I hear, they don't always remember that their guests are also their subordinates and they treat them like subordinates.
mm,
And they're like rude to them and bossing everybody around and, acting all superior. And the trick is like you just have to remember as a lead, if you want anyone wants to become a lead one day, is that like these are your guests. You are to make the magic for them as well, not just
mhm.
your front facing guests.
Yeah,
Um,
and it
and so that's why I think it's that people tend to lose it is because they don't remember that.
yeah, and it helps with morale, and if, you're excited,
Hmm.
if as a lead, if you're excited about your job and just projecting it onto other people, it'll
Hmm.
continue and
Right.
spread it, and then it'll go out to your guest, and I think that's a
Right.
wonderful leader in any role, not even just
Hmm.
Disney.
Yeah, I had a lead one time when I was working in DCA, and she saw we were working a late shift, oogie boogie shift, and she saw how tired we were, how depleted we all were,
Oh,
and she was like, "You know what? I think you guys need to remember what you're doing here, so then you guys will work harder. So I want you to go out and I want you to watch Frightfully Fun Parade, and I want you to remember why you're here."
oh,
And so we walked out and we all got and we were in our full we are in our blues and we're going out into on stage and we're watching the tail end of the parade coming into the Guardians area. And every single performer that saw our costumes and knew what we did and knew what we went through to make that happen, they all stopped and they all waved at us and they were like hugging us and like they were so happy
oh,
and like giving us those performers were giving us magical moments and
oh,
like we walked back and they were like, "Thank you guys for everything." Like it was just like so sweet. And
what a
like it was such a rewarding moment to be like, this is why I'm doing this. And that's one way that leads can make magic for their
yeah.
people is for their cast members is that like, go out of your way to to remind them what they're doing this for.
Yes, I think that was a brilliant
Mhm.
idea to just,
It's so sweet.
10
Yeah.
20 minutes max of just watching the
She
front.
wasn't even like overly happy. She was just like, go. Like, just go. Go watch it.
Yeah,
She was like not like she didn't have a certain like way about her. She was just like, yeah, good. Yeah, I have nothing to do, so go
y'all
ahead,
need to
go watch
pick
it.
me up. Go get your
Right.
coffee essentially.
Go watch. Go
Go
watch.
get some
Yeah.
magic and bring it back in here.
Like you guys are doing a terrible job. Go watch and then come back and then we'll all be better. And we were. We all got it together. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so getting after that and more specifically your magical moment, because that wasn't even, I mean, that I would say that would be considered a
It's a pretty
magical
good
moment,
one.
but yeah,
Yeah.
get into your good juice. So set the scene for
So
us.
the good juice of this is that it was Halloween weekend, and it was the Monday beforehand, or the Tuesday beforehand, something like that. And I had tried to trade shifts with one of my coworkers because I was scheduled for a 6 a.m. shift that day,
Oof.
or 8 a.m. shift that day. I think no, it was 6 a.m. shift morning shift in Disneyland, which is like I had favorite venues. Disneyland was not one of them
Oh.
ironically enough, but DCA and Inventory were my favorites. But a 6 a.m. Disneyland shift is hard and not for the faint of heart. And I was not excited about it at all. So I tried to get it switched with one of my friends, and it ended up not working out because of turnaround time. And like it would have been like fewer than 8 hours turnaround time, which is not okay by Disney.
Mhm.
So I ended up not being able to get it traded, but I wanted it traded because I was hosting a Halloween party the night before
Oh.
and I was worried about, having to get up on time.
Mhm.
And the Halloween I was like, well, I'm just gonna have to do it. So we had the Halloween party, and I wanted to keep it small. Like, let's go to bed early. Like, no, like nothing crazy. Um, and it turned out to be an accidental rager. Like it was we accidentally threw the greatest party of the program. Um,
You're like,
and
"I
it
would
was
love
like
this, just not tonight."
right. I had my apartment was way bigger than everybody else's,
Uh-huh.
so it was like they were like, "Wow, your place is huge, let's party." And, like, 19-year-olds showed up, and we were like, "We're gonna get fired," and it was horrible, and Mike, the security guard, came up and was like, he knocked on my door, and I was like, "Oh, shoot, like, we're gonna get arrested." And so I walked out I, like, went to the door, and I was like, "Hi, Mike," and he's like, "Armida, this is your house?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, just turn the music down a little bit and then have them all out. Make sure everybody here's 21, and then, like, you're good."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Thanks, Mike."
You're like,
And so
"Whew."
then I right, my friend and I'm not very confrontational, but my friend who was the co-host of the party, so it was 2 apartments that hosted the party.
Gotcha.
Um, Derek's apartment was the other one.
Ah, your
And
theme park
one of my
soulmate, just to remind everybody.
right, my theme park soulmate, yes, and his roommate, was one of the was the other co-host, and, like, we were like, "Alright, let's just get all the kids who are not 21 out of here,"
Mhm.
and we managed to get them all out
Good.
eventually, and then it was, like, chill, we all sat on the floor, we were just talking and hanging out, and it was a wonderful party, it was a great time. Um,
Did you get any sleep that night?
unfortun Unfortunately, it was 2 a.m. by the time that everyone was out.
Oh, no.
And my floor was sticky and it was messy
Ah!
and we lost and some people went missing. I think Derek went missing for a good like hour. I was like, I have to find
I mean,
Derek.
this was a great
And we're
party if
all like,
someone goes missing.
where's Derek? Where'd he go? And so we're like running around and I got in bed by 3 a.m.
Whew.
and my roommate and I are like laying in the dark, like trying to figure out how to go to bed right now. And I had to get up at 6. Or no, it was an 8 a.m. shift, so I had to get up at 6. So I got 3 hours of sleep. And I got up and I, like, had to, like, quietly make my own oatmeal and had to run to the parks, and I had to get to my and I have to leave, like, at 6 a.m. to get to an 8 a.m. shift,
Mhm.
and it takes, like, because I have to, like, drive there, and then the cast member tram takes forever,
Right.
especially to get to DL, so
Very unreliable.
very unreliable, so I have to leave, like, 1 to 2 hours early, and I get to work, and I'm exhausted, and I'm so tired, and, by then I had experience in inventory, in costuming inventory, so I was, like, trying to, like, use that to get me through the day, like, "Okay, if I could just, like, help some people figure this stuff out, it'll be fine," like, give my brain something to do. I just kept falling asleep
Oh.
while I was, like, folding clothes, I'm like, "This is really bad," and the lead that we had was brand new, who like, I don't speak for the brand of the company. This lead, in my opinion, forgot who his guests were and was not on his best not in a good mood that's the nice way. He wasn't in a good mood that day.
Yeah.
And I had a lead that was coming in at the tail end of my shift who does know who his guests are.
Mm.
And I was very excited to see him. I was very happy, but I had to deal with this guy for a little bit. And
You're like, "Let me just hold out
like
till the
I
other lead gets here."
right. And I had this friend that was like, "Hey, Armida, I don't know if I should go to the lead first," because we were all kind of scared of him. Like, "I don't know if I should go to the lead first. Like, do you think this needs to go to inventory to get fixed?" Because I was in inventory. And I was like, "Oh my god, yes, that has to go to inventory." And the lead was like, "Armida, that's a lead question. You should not be answering that."
Ooh, not
And
very
I was just like so depleted. I'm exhausted, and now I'm like emotionally in pain. And it was such a bad day. And I was just having the worst time, and here comes the tail end of my shift finally. That lead goes home, and here comes the best lead I've ever had. I was so happy to see him, and I'm like, "Dude, I got 3 hours of sleep," and he was like, "Me too, let's suffer together." Like, it was so great,
Oh.
and so he's like, "Tell me what happened?" And I'm sitting at the desk, and I'm talking to him about my crazy night and how I had no idea this was gonna go down, and all of a sudden, I'm like, I sound so stressed out, and behind me, I just feel this hug come
Oh.
from behind me, and it's a pair of white gloves. And I'm like, "What's going on?"
Oh.
And I turn around, and it's Goofy in his new Christmas sweater that
Oh.
he was wearing in town.
Oh.
And I was like, "Goofy?" Like, and when you're in that room, you don't usually see Goofy.
Yeah.
Like, actual Goofy, and it's like and you rarely get to see that, and when I turned around and it was Goofy, I was like, "Hi," And he was like, and he turned around and gave me another hug, and he like patted me on the back. And I was like, buddy, thanks for this. And he's like, yeah. And the character host I was with him with, I was like, yeah, he's walking around in his new sweater today. We want to see how it works. And I'm like, this is the best. It looks so good. And he was like, give me a fashion
Like,
show.
you know how
And
Goofy does, you know, "Da-da, da-da."
like how Goofy does with his ears, and like he was giving me turnarounds, and like I got to feel the sweater, and it was just this like I just loved that, and that's my magical moment because that was one of the only times where somebody did not have to go out of their way to do this.
Mhm,
Like, if I were, like, a guest in the park and I'm walking up to a character and they make a magic moment for me, like, that is part of the job,
mhm,
right? But this was not part of this was not in the job description of this moment. Like, nobody had to hug me, a stressed out costuming cast member. Nobody had to make that magic for me, but he came and he just, like, made sure that I was okay and was like, like, and they kinda at that point, like, they kinda knew that I loved, like, seeing them like that.
yeah.
So, like, it was just like, I know what'll make her happy. Just give her a hug
Yeah.
as Goofy. And I'm
Oh,
like, I love
and
this. This is so
and
nice.
all the
So that was my
characters
favorite.
they have such big hearts, but I think Goofy just is unconditionally, like, the biggest heart and cares so
Yeah.
deeply about, like, either Max or his other friends, like, he just
Yeah.
unconditional love for sure, and so I feel like of all
Yeah.
the
He's got a
characters.
big heart.
Yep, and
He
you're
has a big
little,
heart.
aren't you? You're
I am 5'5",
5
but I am
you're
small.
small, and
I'm the width
Goofy
of a pencil.
yes, and Goofy
Mhm.
is a big boy, so that
He's like
hug
6'2", 6'3", 6'4".
yeah, so
Yeah.
not only is Goofy such a wonderful character to get that hug from, but also, like, he's so
Mhm.
big, and you probably
He's
just
so
felt fully, like, comforted and safe and
yeah.
just like, "Oh,
I was like, "Thanks, man," and I can finish this shift now because 'cause I'm excited, like,
oh."
it just one of those, like, things where it's like, "This is why you're working here," because, like, the more that you slave over all these buttons, and the more that you sit there folding all of these clothes and, like, going through, like and the more that you wrestle Winnie the Pooh into his sweater, like, you're making that moment so important for somebody on stage who is, like, dying to see Winnie the Pooh. Like, I felt that when I met Eeyore, of,
Aw.
like, I struggled with Eeyore so bad. Eeyore was so hard for me. Whenever I got Eeyore to get ready that day, I was like, "No!" I hated it. And but, like, going out on stage and hugging Eeyore, I was like, "Yeah, this is why.
This is
This
it.
is why I suffer."
This is
Yeah.
it. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Well, that is such an incredible story. It's very heartwarming and stuff, and I feel like this
Yeah.
would be a perfect episode for, like, Goofy's birthday or something like that, which
Yeah, that'd be
do you know
nice.
when Goofy's birthday is off the top of your head? Because I
Ooh,
don't, but
I have to remember, hold on, let me look. It's May 25th.
ooh, that is perfect. That is right around the corner, so perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, Armida, is there any other closing thoughts you wanna say about that special moment or your job or, and if not, where can we find you and follow along your
As
adventures?
Yeah, I think I'll leave one closing that as great as that magical moment was, I do not regret leaving that job and, having the job that I have now. I wouldn't trade the job that I have now for anything in the world.
Mhm.
It's nice to make magic without conditions, um, for people now and kind of get to be more personable, a little bit more real. And kinda make magic in my own way, but I feel much more rewarded making magic as a bridal stylist than I did as a cast member,
Yeah.
which is interesting. But I feel so much better in the job that I have now. So I hope no one feels bad that, like, I was one of the cast members that got fired, but, like, it's fine. I'm in a much better place
Yes.
now. Um,
Everything happens
and
for a
speaking of
reason.
Right, and speaking of better place, you can find me in my element over at Dream a Fantastic Dream podcast,
Mhm.
and you can find that on Apple Music, on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I recently found out we were on the Odyssey app. I didn't know that, but
Ooh.
here we are. We're also on Audible. If you like to listen to Audible, we are on there as well, and pretty much everywhere. Um, and we are also on Instagram at DAFD_podcast.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get Skylar to update that more frequently because he keeps forgetting. So, in case you follow that and aren't getting any information from there, go ahead and follow his Instagram handle right now. I'm so sorry to say is Skylar_the_G, Skylar the G.
Yeah, but what is
And it's
yours?
not
What is yours?
My and he updates that with Park News more frequently than I do, but mine is, the Queen Latina, and that's Latina with 3 eyes, um, or you can find me on TikTok at Queen Latina _ which is where I post a lot more videos there, but I'm on my story more frequently on Instagram.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, for more parks news and stuff like that, I
Skylar.
suggest following Skylar for that because he's always posting on there, and I'm like, "Post it on the podcast," and he goes, "Oh, yeah, I forgot," and then he doesn't do it. So,
I love
Skylar the G right now is where you can find him. Usually, he's Skylar_Gifford_. He changed it to be funny and didn't realize that he has to keep it for 2 weeks. So, I don't know what his Instagram will be by the time this comes out.
Gotcha,
I don't know.
gotcha. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Well, Armida, thank you so much for coming on the show and
Thank you for having me.
sharing such an incredible moment. Like, that's just gonna
Mhm.
keep me in a good mood all day. And
Oh, good, I'm glad.
stories like this, like, definitely make me enjoy doing the podcast for everybody. So, thank you again
Mhm.
so much.